The story of Cynthia Coffman is one that's both chilling and perplexing. A woman who went on a brutal killing spree with her boyfriend in the 1980s, Coffman is now the longest-serving female inmate in California's history, with 30 years on death row. Her crimes were so heinous that they shocked the nation, and her trial became one of the most high-profile cases of the decade. But despite decades of appeal and legal wrangling, Coffman remains on death row, and her story is one that continues to capture the public's imagination. In this video, we will take a deep dive into the never-ending death row story of mass murderer Cynthia Coffman, exploring the details of her horrific crime, her trial and conviction, and the ongoing legal battles that have kept her on death row for over 3 decades. In California, Cynthia Coffman was born in 1962. She had a terrible upbringing, which was characterized by a tense bond with her alcoholic mother. After dropping out of high school, Coffman started using drugs and engaging in criminal activity. The wealthy daughter of a St. Louis businessman, Cynthia Coffman was compelled to enter a loveless marriage after becoming pregnant at the age of 17. She and her boyfriend, James Gregory Marlowe, were detained for running a stop sign in Barstow, California on May 8, 1986. She was freed on her own recognizance, although the police discovered a loaded Derringer and a significant amount of methamphetamine in her handbag. James, a devoted burglar since the age of 10, had been sent to Folsom Prison in 1980 after committing several house invasions and robberies at knife point. When they were ordered to leave detention in June, they departed California together and started moving through the family tree, tearing off any evident jewels. They were suspected of breaking into a house at Whitley County, Kentucky on July 26, 1986, and fleeing with money, jewelry, and a shotgun. After being married in Tennessee in 1986, Cynthia Coffman and James Marlowe headed west in quest of simple prey. Sandra Neary left her Costa Mesa, California home on October 11, 1986 to get some money from Karina Novis and disappeared when doing a similar errand in Redland, California 2 weeks later. When Lionel Murray, then 19 years old, missed their scheduled date after work, Lionel's boyfriend became concerned. Cynthia Coffman and Marlowe were discovered strolling along a mountain road on November 14, 1986, and police were sent to a resort in the mountains near Big Bear City, California. Without a struggle, Coffman and Marlowe turned themselves in. They were still sporting clothing that had been taken from the dry cleaners when they were accused of killing Karina Novis. Both defendants' fingerprints were discovered by homicide detectives in Karina's automobile, and Coffman was connected to the Fontana pawn shop where the victim's typewriter was pawned. Following their breakup, Cynthia's attorney inquired as to if she needed assistance with her tattoo. On July 18, 1989, the couple's murder trial eventually began in San Bernardino County. On August 30, both defendants received the death penalty after being found guilty on all counts. Since California reinstated the death penalty in 1977, Cynthia Coffman is the first woman to receive a death sentence in that state. Prosecutors claimed throughout the trial that Coffman and Marlowe had plotted the killings and that Coffman had participated in the crimes voluntarily. On the night of the killings, witnesses testified that they had seen Coffman and Marlowe in the vicinity. They also provided DNA evidence that connected Coffman to the crime site. Contrarily, Coffman maintained her innocence throughout the trial, arguing that Marlowe had forced her to take part in the atrocities. She said that Marlowe had mistreated her physically and psychologically while they were dating. The jury convicted Coffman and Marlowe both guilty of all counts after a protracted trial. One of the most infamous murder cases in Colorado's history, Coffman is still behind bars today. Cynthia Coffman received a death sentence in 1989 for her involvement in the killings. She was sent to the California Institution for Women, where she spent more than 30 years on death row. She was initially given the death penalty after being found guilty of participating in the deaths of 4 people in Colorado in 1987. However, as a result of a change in Colorado's death penalty regulations in 1995, her sentence was eventually commuted to life in prison without the chance of release. It's important to keep in mind that instances involving the death penalty sometimes include a drawn-out appeals procedure, which might cause delays in the sentence's execution. Cynthia Coffman's sentence was reduced, nonetheless, before she had a chance to consider all of her legal alternatives. Cynthia Coffman's case is a tragic example of how a troubled childhood and a life of crime can lead to unthinkable acts of violence. Her crimes shocked the nation and continue to be studied by criminologists and psychologists today. Her story serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of a life of crime and the importance of rehabilitation and second chances.